Hello, this is Kathleen from oldworldfarmhouse.com. I wanted to talk thrifting, all about thrifting. If you've been around my channel at all, you know that I love to go thrifting, I love to go antiquing, but what are all of these stores and where are the places to get the best deals? Well, I thought I would give you my perspective from, nearly 3 decades of thrifting. On all of these things. Let me go back to the beginning. First, a note on terminology. Is it a yard sale or a garage sale? Is this a Mason-Dixon line distinction like the Waffle House and the IHOP? Growing up in the northern part of the Midwest, we always called them garage sales. I never heard the term yard sale. Then I moved down south and I hardly ever hear garage sale. Everyone calls it a yard sale. And I think it's because there aren't as many garages here. Most people don't even have a garage. You don't really need a garage. The weather's not bad enough that your car needs its own house. So mostly yard sales around here, but yard sale, garage sale, basically they're interchangeable. Okay, I wanted to go through a list of all of the places that you could find secondhand stuff or stuff for less and talk about what's the best place to get what and what are the differences. So let's go. Okay, first up is the yard sale, garage sale. I'm going to try to go in order from cheapest to most expensive. And I think that the yard sale, garage sale is definitely generally speaking, going to definitely be your cheapest place to get stuff. Why? Because people are selling directly out of their house. There's no middleman. If they've gone to all the trouble to set up a sale, most people are very motivated just to get rid of stuff. So if you offer them a lower price, they often take it. A little tip on that. Some people are going to take it personally and get offended if you offer them less than what's on their little price sticker. And some people are going to be like, sure. The trick is, in my opinion, to just keep it really neutral. Find some things that you want and go up to whoever's running the sale and say, hi, I was wondering if you would fill in the number that you'd like to pay for the things you have collected. And if they say yes, then great. Make sure you've got your cash. It might even help if you have your cash in your hand so they can see it when you make the offer. And then if they accept, you can just give them the cash. Great. You got yourself a steal. Some people might say no. They might even get a little offended that you're offering less than what they would like you to pay. If that's the case, I would just say, okay, well, thank you, and just calmly walk away and put everything back and leave. If you really want it, then go ahead and pay what they want, but I think in most cases, if they're going to get offended, it's just not even worth it. I mean, it's generally going to be your cheapest option. It's also going to be the most labor intensive. You're going to have to look for where these yard sales are going to be. Now, great seasons for yard sales are usually, spring, summer, and the earlier parts of the fall. And great places to look for them advertised are Facebook Marketplace. If you Google yard sale or garage sale in your area, a lot of times people post them on there. Obviously, your newspapers classifieds, online classifieds, people will post their yard sales up on Craigslist, and then of course just driving around and seeing signs as well. But if you're really organized, you'll know about them ahead of time, and then you'll get up early in the morning and go and hit the sale and be like the first person there, so you have your pick of all the stuff. If you like to do that kind of thing, there's even an app. Leave it in the comments below. I think it's called the Yard Sale app, and you can map out your route and all this cool stuff. My aunt, growing up, this was like her life. Every Saturday she would go garage sailing, as she called it. And when I was up visiting her sometimes, she would take me along, and it was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. So I was hooked from the time I must have been 5 or 6 years old. Online yard sales, I would consider Facebook Marketplace to be an online yard sale. There's also a lot of buy, sell, trade groups on Facebook for your local area. I look for like ones that have the name of your county. There'll be like a buy, sell group for your county, or like a mom's group for your local area. There's a lot of those on Facebook where people get on and post things. That's kind of like an online yard sale, and you can get some really good prices in there and haggle with people, that kind of thing. Craigslist, I haven't used Craigslist in a long time. I used to be a religious user of Craigslist, but I've gotten away from it with the rise of Facebook Marketplace, and I'm probably not the only one. There's something more reassuring about Facebook Marketplace because you can see the person, you can kind of tell if their profile is real or just been thrown up in the past few days. You can see how many friends they have. Sometimes it's nice to see that you might even have like a few friends in common if you're just looking in a local area. It might be, you don't necessarily know the person, but it turns out, oh, they know this person that I know. I find all that very reassuring because there is something always a little bit nerve-wracking about going and buying something from a total stranger online, right? So Facebook Marketplace takes a little bit of that anxiety away. You can also look at, they have seller reviews. I always like to look at those if they've sold multiple things on Marketplace. And if people are saying, oh, it was a great interaction, everything went smoothly, all those are really good signs. All that being said, definitely proceed with caution. You are going to someone else's house to pick something up. In the case of a large item, if it's anything smaller than a piece of furniture, I always try to meet in a public place, like the parking lot of the grocery store I go to, or the public library's parking lot, something like that, just so we're in a public place and we can just do the exchange and it's not as stressful as having to find someone's personal address. Of course, if you're looking at furniture, usually you are going to have to go to the house, in which case it's always nice to look and see if they have seller reviews or if their profile looks legitimate and that kind of thing. Okay, a note about Facebook Marketplace and its yard sale quality. There are plenty of people on Facebook Marketplace who are just posting stuff up in the same manner that someone would just have a yard sale where they just kind of want to get rid of a bunch of stuff they have lying around. There are also plenty of people on Facebook Marketplace who are reselling things that they have either bought cheaply at yard sales or Goodwill or something, and they're trying to resell it at a profit on Facebook Marketplace. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But if you're looking for rock bottom prices, those people are not going to be the ones that you really want to look at because they're looking to make a profit, which is totally fine, and their stuff is still going to probably be cheaper than you could find lots of other places. But if you're looking for rock bottom, always try to look for phrases like needs gone. That's one of my favorites. I love that. You needs it gone? Okay. Let's talk. Maybe I can get it for a really good price. Another great phrase to look for is moving sale. People who are moving are usually feeling very pressured to get rid of stuff, and you are doing them a huge favor just taking that item off their hands, and they're usually willing to either they're already offering a really good price on it because they want it to move, or they're willing to negotiate. So those are some tips about that. It's totally fine, of course, to buy things from people who are clearly, flipping furniture or running some kind of side hustle like that, but just know you're not getting the rock bottom price. That's all. Next level up in cost would be thrift stores. Thrift stores are some of my absolute favorite places to bargain hunt. Thrift stores can be a lot of fun, or it can just feel like you're getting really dirty. If you're lucky enough to live in a larger metropolitan area, they can be an absolute treasure trove of goodness. Especially a metro area where people are moving a lot. A lot of people just dump a lot of really nice stuff because they have to move and they don't care, and you can find some incredible things. Okay, so what are thrift stores? Thrift stores are like St. Vincent de Paul, Goodwill, the Salvation Army, AmVets. Sometimes hospitals have thrift shops run by like their auxiliary society. And then there might be some local thrift stores. Quite a few of them might have names that you don't necessarily recognize, but they are for-profit organizations. You can they might have a few locations. Like there was one where I used to live. There was one called Value Village, I think it was called, and they had like 3 or 4 different locations throughout the metro area, and it was a privately owned company. I'm not sure how they sourced all of their things even. I wasn't like they took donations. I wasn't really sure how that worked, but it was definitely a thrift store. Okay. Those places often have the best prices you're going to find, and if you find some treasures or a diamond in the rough, you're going to get a really good deal on it. There's also a lot of just junk to sort through. You're not guaranteed to walk in and find something fantastic. That's just the way it is. That's it. That being said, I absolutely love thrift stores. I love the thrill of the hunt. I love rummaging through to find something cool in the midst of a bunch of just random stuff. So much fun. Goodwill has an online store. It's shopgoodwill.com. eBay, I would consider to be a certain type of online thrift store. The prices are going to be higher on eBay because, again, it's people who have probably been scouring their local thrift stores and then are turning around and selling on eBay for profit. But that being said, the advantage of online is that you can really drill down and find exactly what you are looking for with your keyword search terms, instead of just driving from store to store looking randomly for, serendipitously to find whatever. Etsy.com, that's kind of like eBay too, where people might be finding things locally and then turning around and trying to flip them, but you could also probably still get some pretty good prices. Okay, the next level up from thrift stores are consignment stores. Consignment stores are shops where people are dropping off their stuff and the consignment store is selling it for them, and then they're splitting the profits. The consignment stores that I've consigned at, usually it's a 50-50 split with the store itself. So obviously because of that, the prices tend to be higher, and because, they're splitting the proceeds in half. And I also don't see a lot of chain consignment stores. The ones that I have had experience with, they seem to all be pretty small local businesses with maybe only one location. And they have, like the one I'm thinking of that I really like near me, they clearly have people who consign with them regularly all the time. They have like this base that they draw from for items, and their quality is very high. And that's something else. They tend to be very picky about what they'll take, and often if you bring in a bunch of stuff, they won't accept all of it. They will accept some of it, and they will tell you, we'll either donate the rest of this to St. Vincent de Paul, or you can take it home with you again, but we're not going to sell it here. So when you go into a consignment store that there's not going to be as much sort of random or dirty or damaged things as you might see in a thrift store. It's all going to be new or nearly new, a lot of brand names, and they're going to charge accordingly. Now, that being said, the fun thing about consignment stores is that the ones that I have seen anyway, I can't say that this is true nationwide because I don't know, but at least in the places that I've been in the South and the Midwest, they tend to do, I don't know what you would call that, like there's like the full price, and then after a month it goes down 25%, and then after another month goes down to half off, and then if it's still there at the end of like 4 months, it's like $1. So sometimes if you go in and you make a beeline for the back of the store where the clearance items are or the dollar rack is, you can score, and it can be even cheaper than a thrift store because they've been choosy about what they chose to try to sell, and then if it didn't sell for whatever reason and it's something you couldn't live without, you luck out. I have gotten down pillow inserts. Like one time I went in and I got like 8 down pillow inserts for like 50 cents each because they were just there, and they didn't have the prettiest covers on them, and that's maybe why they didn't sell. Well, I didn't care because I was going to recover them anyway. I just was after the down fill. So there's always opportunities like that. I've also had probably more times when I've decided, ooh, I really like that, and I will wait until it goes half off, and then I go back On the day it's going to be half off and it's gone. So that happens as well. So as far as consignment stores go, you can get amazing deals if you're patient and you luck out and no one else liked the thing you liked and it ends up in the back room on clearance day. Or you can get a decent deal if you don't wait and you just go ahead and pay the full consignment price right off the bat. And then, of course, there's the online component. There are a lot of online consignment stores. And just like the in-person ones, the prices are higher because, of course, the consignor and the storefront are splitting the proceeds. Since we're talking about interiors more on this channel and not so much clothing, I'm just going to talk about some that have home goods. There's Cherish, which is can be very, very pricey. A lot of interior designers sell on there, but you can get some really cool looking furniture. And if you're looking for something specific or like some really good quality antiques, it's a great place to go. First Dibs is another one. Poshmark, which is, I love Poshmark for clothing, but they also have a home section where they sell some home decor. There's one called apartmentdeco.com, which I've never been to, but I just kind of know about it. And rubylane.com as well are some other online consignments. Antique malls and antique stores. So an antique mall could be full of real antiques and not so real antiques. I don't think there's any real law about what you can and cannot call an antique. So I feel like a lot of times you go to an antique store and it's a lot of things that are made to look antique, but they're not necessarily real antiques. A real antique store with a real antique dealer, honestly, way out of my price range. That is not a thrifty decor scenario whatsoever. That's like, serious expensive antiques. But an antique mall where there's like booths and vendors, that's more like, what that is people who are renting those booths or people who have found things at auction, maybe at yard sales, and they're turning around and they're flipping them in their antique mall booth. And that's what you're looking at. So don't expect to get like super great bargains, because what you're paying for is those people have done a lot of work to curate and find and pick things that they found were cool out there in the auction and yard sale, thrift store world, and they've brought them into the antique mall. That being said, it's a really fun place to look for specific items with a specific look. They're fun, and you can still find really good prices. There's, of course, online antique stores as well. I think the same, Cherish and Poshmark, First Dibs, those are all examples of that as well. And there's architectural salvage stores like the Habitat for Humanity Restore. That is a really great place to go. In my experience, prices really vary by location. I'm just saying, there's one near me that's in a smaller town, and the prices and selection are higher and the selection is worse. And then I went to one in a larger city near me recently, and the prices were excellent and the selection was like huge. It just, everything from architectural elements and mantelpieces to furniture to dishes. So I think it really, really depends. There's also, if you look in your area, there might be local architectural salvage stores that aren't part of a big chain like Restore, but they're doing basically the same thing. Or they might be a not-for-profit as well. I used to live near one that was a 501c3, and they went around and they took things like old mirrors and mantelpieces and all kinds of things, flooring out of old homes, and sold it. And I'm not sure what the not-for-profit supported. I can't remember. It was a really cool store. So look around your local area for stores like that. Just Google architectural salvage or plug in the words architectural salvage into Google Maps and see what comes up. Don't know about online architectural salvage. There probably are some, but I'm not aware of any. Estate sales. Okay, an estate sale is when Usually someone has died and they're liquidating their estate. So a lot of estate sales will be at the person's home themselves. And you can find estate sales by looking for, look for estate sale on Facebook Marketplace or Google estate sales near me. There's also some websites, like there's estatesales.net. I've signed up for their emails, and whenever there's an estate sale within 50 miles of me, they send me an email, which is really handy. But there's a few sites like that. There's estatesales.org, estatesales.com. I'll link them all in the description below. I'm on the mailing list of a local company that runs estate sales, and so I get their emails whenever they're having a sale in the local area. So there might be local companies near you that have a mailing list. Estate sales can be, obviously you can look in the newspaper or online. Estate sales can be really fun. Again, the prices are going to be good, but they're not going to be rock bottom because the estate owners are, they're liquidating the estate. They'd like to get some money out of the estate, and then they're obviously having to pay the company that's managing and running the estate sale. So it's not the cheapest place to find things, but it can be very, very interesting, especially if there's a neat old house you've always wanted to see the inside of, and then they're running an estate sale. That can be very, very cool. And a lot of estate sales too, they'll have a day or two of sale, and then they'll have a day where everything goes half off. So that can be really exciting as well if you luck out. The local company that I often get emails from, they'll do a half off day, and then they'll often do another day if things didn't sell, where you can take a bag and put everything you want into it for $5. So they can be really worth it if you are consistent in looking. Online estate sales. A few years ago, I got introduced to this company called everythingbutthehouse.com, and that is basically an online estate sale. In fact, the people we bought the house from here, they had EBTH come in and run an estate sale for them. So EBTH came to the house for like 2 weeks straight and photographed everything that they thought was worth selling and put it up online. And then they had an online auction of the contents of the house, everything they wanted sold. And I knew that the owners were doing that here, and so I got really curious and started looking at the site, and I ended up buying quite a bit off of ebth.com. It's mostly, like I said, it's estate sales, but it's run in an auction format. You do like an online auction, and you can get some incredible deals. I feel like it's gotten better known than when I first started using it, and so there's more eyeballs on everything, and so the prices tend to go higher, but it's still a cool place to look. Obviously, there's another one called invaluable.com, which does kind of the same thing. Auctions. Okay, auctions in real life. You go to the auction in person, and usually you register and you get like a number with a paddle, and then you have to wait around until the lot of things that you're interested in goes up for sale, and then you can go and bid on that. And usually these days, it seems like most auctions, they will take credit cards, but I would bring cash and checks just in case. And usually your final bid that you end up paying for something, they tack on like 3%. It depends. They call it a buyer's premium. Sometimes it's 3%, 10%. That's the auction houses. That's the money they're making. So just keep that in mind when you're bidding. It's going to be a little higher when they say that buyer's premium. That's what they're talking about. It can be a little confusing and intimidating the first time you go to an auction, because just kind of the way they're run and the way the auctioneers talk. But once you get used to it, it just ends up being really fun, and it's not that hard. You just hold up your little paddle and they see you, and it goes really fast. You might be the only person interested in some really cool thing, and nobody else is there who wants it. There might be lots of people who want it, but they're not physically there at that auction, so you've lucked out. I find that a lot of people who sell at antique malls, they have sourced their things from local auctions because they've gotten these incredible deals, and then they turn around and they're selling them in their antique mall booth. So if you want to cut out that middleman and go to the auction yourself, you might do a little better price-wise. Look for local auction houses. They might have mailing lists where they alert you when they're having an auction. You can look on, say, Facebook Marketplace. You just drive around, you'll notice signs for auctions. You can plug in the word auction to Google Maps and see what comes up. We'll obviously look in the newspapers. Online auctions. So as much as I would love to go to auctions all the time, obviously just like going thrifting or yard sailing, garage sailing, it's very time consuming. And I personally, and I'm sure I'm not alone here, I don't have as much time as I would like to go yard selling and thrifting and all that. So into that, avoid steps online auctions. And this is something I think is really a lot of fun. There's this one site that I really like. It's called highbid.com, and they're kind of like a clearing house for auctions all across the country. You can plug in your zip code and your category of stuff you're looking for, like furniture. You can even drill down further to like couches if you want to. And you can see what's on offer in your local area in different auctions. And the way it works is, you can sign in and give your credit card information to like just one particular auction and then watch and bid on stuff. And then they'll usually, if you win whatever it is, there'll usually be a day and a time window where you have to go pick your things up. And it's not right then that day. It'll tell you like the auction might end like on July 7th, and then pickup days are July 9th and 10th from 10 to 3 or something like that. I love highbid.com. I have found some incredible deals on there. Because the auctions that I'm looking at are local auctions. So it's really only going to be interesting to people who are within driving distance of where they can pick the stuff up, because shipping's not offered like on everything but the house. You can pay for shipping, which then people are more willing like to bid from across the country. But these are like, it's local only. You have to drive to pick it up. So, I set the range to very small, like what I'm willing to drive within 30 miles or 50 or whatever. And you can look for anything and everything on there. But the house, that's another online auction site, invaluable.com, but those are more nationwide and they offer shipping. eBay is the same. I mean, obviously eBay is an auction house. They have a lot of, buy it now pricing where you're not participating in auction, but they also have auction style. I really like online auctions. They're a lot of fun. Now, what's the bottom line? Okay, what's the takeaway here? We all want things cheap, that are high quality, and we want them fast. And generally speaking, and this is kind of true across the board for anything, not just home decor, you can usually get 2 of the 3, but not all 3. So you could get, let's say you were looking for really cheap and high quality. Well, then you're going to have to wait and wait and wait and be patient for the perfect thing to surface. So I'm just looking at my notes here because I wrote this out. This is my manifesto on thrifting. Okay, you want fast and high quality. You want something high quality and you want it right now. Well, then you're going to have to be prepared to pay a little bit of a premium for the speed at which you get that thing. And if you want something quickly and cheaply, well, then you're probably going to be sacrificing the quality. That's just kind of Murphy's Law, I guess. The Murphy's Law of getting stuff. Yard sales are going to be the cheapest, but the most labor intensive. And real life auctions are going to be also very cheap and exciting, but very time consuming, even more time consuming than a yard sale, because you have to wait around until they start the bidding on your lot of items. And you might get there at 10 and they might not get to what you're interested in until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's a lot of time. Online auctions can be great, and if you're pressed for time, I think they might be your best option, especially at a place like highbid.com or eBay. Facebook Marketplace is really my go-to for stuff, but I always try to avoid people who are flipping stuff for a profit, and I try to look for people who are just selling things because they are moving or they just want to get rid of it, because those are going to be your better prices. And be prepared to wait around. But the name of the game, I think, if you have the time to wait and be patient, I truly believe eventually You will find exactly what you are looking for at the price point you can afford, as long as you can wait. And if you've got less time and a little bit more to spend, then going to consignment stores and antique malls and even cherish.com, everythingbutthehouse.com, and buying what you love, great. The prices are still going to be a whole lot better than what you would spend buying new. Please leave me a comment below if you have other tips and suggestions about buying secondhand. I would love to hear them. I love to learn about the best ways to go about thrifting. Thank you so much for watching this video about where to find secondhand items. If this kind of thing interests you, please check out my Thrift with me and Antique with me videos and consider subscribing to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again. Bye.